This is Krista back here with you again today. And today I want to begin talking a little bit more about addictions now, and also about toxic people and situations. What's really amazing is that I find this happening around me still with one of my children, and from the place where I come from, where I did kind of do drugs for a while, and you know, a lot of times kids will follow things that you do, and as they get older, a lot of times, if you're not being a good role model for them, if you're still struggling, like in your own life, with ways of coping and things, with maybe some traumas from our past, or like situations that we're in now that we don't know how to get out of, where we're left just basically spinning out of control emotionally and not knowing what to do with bad relationships, and just like when we're left with these unhappy feelings, it can also be, I mean, during any time of crisis, you know, maybe when we become ill with a disease or something, we might lose our jobs, things might change around us. In order to take care of ourselves in a better way, life may start giving us things that help us, but we might not be aware of them because the change is so sudden and so fast. And instead of trying to accept things as they are, we are thrown into this change, and we don't know how to deal with it. A lot of times what can happen to us in our lives is that we get beaten down, and there are plenty of toxic things around of us that can try to keep us down, and trying to stay on that level where we can keep going even past that stuff can be really challenging, and a lot of times we might just want to give up. There might be times in our lives where we do give up, but the thing is that we have to realize that we cannot stay there, that we have to keep moving in order for hope to sustain in our lives, and maybe keep making some of our dreams come true. We do not have to stay in one place forevermore. Do not give up that hope, you know. Instead of reaching for those drugs, maybe staying in those same types of situations that you know are bad. You know, bullies, and in places that we have to be around a lot, that are constantly beating us down. The amazing thing is that we do not have to stay in certain situations if we do not want to. We can go on, we can find different ways of handling it, and we can also find ways to move on and maybe find better things to occupy ourselves with, or better people to surround ourselves with. Be it a change of job, maybe be it a change of attitude. Like, I know before I brought this into what I'm studying myself, and that is DBT work, that has helped thousands of people already for many years, about 20 years now, that it is taught, and books have come out. Cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical therapy, DBT is really great when we grow up and we do not know how to handle ourselves emotionally. A lot of times we come from dysfunctional families that were not able to provide us that emotional validation to either our emotions or our thoughts. maybe we were beaten spiritually to a place where only your family's religion was the only way to get to heaven or whatever, and every other thing was you're going to hell, even for having thoughts maybe of your own or choosing other things. When your path starts leading you to your dreams, how other people can really kind of get you off course by telling you that things you're doing are not right, or, you know, just things that you're choosing for yourself. So, you know, a lot of times that can lead us again into addiction of every kind. Yes, I'm still working on getting my teeth. I'm waiting to see if I have any more bad teeth in my mouth. It will probably be after Christmas by the time. I'm just noticing the teeth myself on the camera and how I really need to get a plate there. So back on course here. What I'm seeing with my own one of my kids is that they want to be on path. I know that they do, and they want to have happy lives that they really enjoy having, but they also like are in living environments that are not healthy choices for them, you know, just kind of toxic living environments with boyfriends, and choosing to be around people as a way to cope. And as I was thinking this morning, it's really all more like addictive coping devices to put a band-aid over it, and to keep us stuck further and not being on the paths that we're meant to be. You know, and where that stuck routine comes, like, and can turn into a depression for us, or just like a not feeling type of numbness that comes over us, and that's how we live. But it's not, we're not really getting the satisfaction and fulfillment from that type of life. You know, I think it's harder to coach your kids because a lot of times they want to grow up and they want to learn it all on their own, and they think that they know and they're going to tough it on their own or whatever. But again and again, I know that even though I might have not showed them the right course of action in a time past, but now that I clean and sober up, I start doing these things that I would have never dreamed of doing before, like making these videos, beginning a website online with my videos included, and just beginning to blog and write. And I've always loved writing a little bit. I've always loved keeping a journal back when I was younger, but kind of quit doing that, and poetry, but kind of quit doing that as my toxic parents came in, and my mother read my whole diary, and it was just a bad thing, you know, because sometimes when people put their nose in your business and they think they know what's best for you, can turn into complete chaos when sometimes it isn't the best thing for you. Although I know that people mean well, and sometimes when people do care, they, you know, like if you're on drugs or whatever, and like somebody sends you to rehab, things like that might be a blessing in disguise as well. You can't always hate somebody forever because sometimes in our lives, when we do reach that rock bottom, our chaos is just splitting like fireworks all over ourselves, and we're very terrified and afraid because we cannot stop that craving for that addiction that we have, be it in a more severe abusive relationship where us codependents thrive on give, please, we don't know how to say no, and we derive love from these people who can't really even accept us, but might throw us little bits of love here and there and dangle sticks and illusions of what they say that they can give, but they never really come through with it, being addicted to that helping another person, where you're doing all the giving and they're doing all of the taking, and it just never ceases. When they say they're never going to change, and they don't. You might see progress for a while, but it goes back into the same thing, which I often talk about in a lot of my videos. Also choosing better things for ourselves, but it's so hard not to get stuck in that place where we are not really helping ourselves any longer, and we are just grasping for another way to make it through another day, be it watching those never-ending TV shows at night, never getting off the couch, eating all those bonbons and candied chips until that's all that you do. You know, you get stuck in these old habits and routines. Maybe you're a chronic pot user, and things just become chronic and out of control, and then you are left with trying to control everything around, and all of a sudden you have little or no control over anything in your life anymore. You quit paying the bills, spending money on other things that you shouldn't be, and maybe not, you know, going ahead with that schooling that you always said that you were going to do, or in the end, all of a sudden, when things come crashing around you, we do start reaching for that help, and we can start praying, and whatever it takes when we get to that rock bottom point where things have to flip. And if you don't flip them, nature will take its course and flip them for you. But, you know, it's so hard to get to that point. Rock bottom can include, like in a love addiction relationship, like hitting that place where we go into a nervous breakdown. Whatever it is, you know, something's got to take us to that point where we can finally start looking from that peace from within and not from outside of ourselves. It's such a hard one for all of us, especially when addictions run paramount whenever you are, you know, whether it be overspending, buying those things that you can't afford, overrunning that credit card into thousands of dollars in debt, whatever it is, you know, finding better, healthier ways to deal, and better things to join and to get into. Groups are becoming so big these days. Just joining a group of others like you, that you really do start that mending work, be it online or just, you know, in your area or whatever. It's so important to really not hide away and isolate, and be a good role model for others. Like for my children, for instance, you know, you know, sometimes they don't want to learn from us, but they are watching us, and to be better supports and guides for them as well, because they can change, and don't look at them as bad. Don't blame others for things. Don't blame society. Don't blame the economy. Don't blame that person for being a poopy head or whatever, even though maybe they might be a little bit. And you might be angry, you know, and you just lash out because you don't know what else to do, and it's so easy to lash out. But part of DBT is this as well, when we have to stop, and instead of reacting, thinking for a minute, using our wise mind and our hearts and emotion all together, not just using just emotion or just your heart, but also mixing in the middle, where you start putting logic to reason and weighing the pros and cons of things, and using that wise mind, that gut feeling that feels good, and it does not feel bad, like that uneasiness, going with your gut feelings on that. Really choosing to treat someone or something, and especially yourself, in a certain way that when you can really start taking responsibility for all these feelings inside of yourself that are painful and upset. Maybe you were never allowed to be upset in your family. Maybe you were never allowed to show all your emotions, and all of a sudden they come out all at once like a volcano at some time, and you might lose that relationship with that person in a fight or something that actually you liked that person or that job or whatever, and over just becoming the volcano and losing it, self-sabotaging in some way, like running away from that situation and back to the addiction, or just searching and searching and searching. But the funny thing is that the universe will keep giving you that same thing over and over again until it does become resolved within yourself. So just remember that. And for myself, I have to remember not to get too worried or upset. And even though I watch people around me live their own lives and they aren't the hottest, but that I can at least be there and instead of give them my advice, be more like a guide for them to follow. Just, set a good example, maybe teach them boundaries or something that I'm learning, and if they're willing to listen even for a few minutes, you don't have to sit there and lecture a person either, but helping others and yourself, it's worth it in the end. When you're giving, but not giving too much of yourself when other people are taking too much. You learn to set your limits there, and to teach that is really amazing as well. I'm watching one of my children do that and use that now a little bit, and I see that I am helping him in ways that might be small, but are also huge and paramount within themselves. So every little step that we take is great, and every little ounce that we can give and help other human beings and be at service with them will give us all that we need back. It's amazing to watch that as well, and that even goes for material, financial and everything, and it can really bring your life back to that peaceful place over and over and over again. It is a chaotic world, but as we fall into that peace further within ourselves, life can really change around us for the best. So thank you for listening today, and have another great day. Peace.